today I want to help you to stop criticizing yourself. We are extremely critical of ourselves as a culture. A lot of people judge themselves. Practically everyone judges themselves, represses themselves, hates certain parts of themselves, and it's creating a lot of mental sickness. We have to learn how to actually accept the full spectrum of who we are. We have to learn how to integrate our natural complexity so that we can experience more wholeness and authenticity, or mental, emotional, physical, spiritual well-being. This is completely needed to live a more fulfilling life. And if you think that you are not critical of yourself, you don't judge yourself, I want to point out that that is 99% of the time going to be a massive self-deception. Right? You basically bypass having to know any of this stuff I'm going to tell you in this video and do any of the sort of work, in a sense, psychological work, simply by telling yourself that, nope, not me, bye. So bear with me. The human psyche habitually represses itself. This is a massive part of the ego. Always resisting itself, repressing itself. It's afraid to turn inward, afraid of deep reflection, afraid of meditation, afraid of shining the light of consciousness internally. We're always running from this. This is so obvious in our culture with our entertainment and, big flashy lights of buy this new material object, etc. It's this constant escapism. Right? Basically find this almost nonstop. So a very core component of breaking your self-criticism is having awareness of it and breaking identification with the inner critic. And I'm going to be explaining this in some more depth. So step one to really healing the critical aspects of your mind are simply acknowledging it and being honest about their existence. You do not accept the full spectrum of who you are. You have parts of you that you hate. It's called your shadow, and you repress them. This is the shadow. Next is becoming aware of it. So you acknowledge it and you be honest about it. Next, you just watch it mindfully. Instead of always being so identified with it, you just learn to watch it. And this begins to create a bit of distance between the critical thoughts and you. Next is just straight up realizing that the critic is not you. This is breaking identification with the mind, recognizing that you are not your thoughts. Right? This allows you to have even more distance between, being aware and your thoughts. And you want the thoughts to just arise fully. You actually want what's happening inside of you to arise fully without being repressed, and then to pass away as it naturally wants to. So you want to notice this flow of arising and passing, arising and passing. You want these thoughts to arise and pass. And you want to just be the observer of this stuff while not getting lost and identifying with the arising and passing phenomena. Next is, after you do this, and I'm going to be going in more depth in this video about how to go about doing this really. After you do this, basically step 4, this is integrating the critic in a healthy way, because your critic actually has a lot of value. For example, you can be extremely sharp, right? Your critic often has a sense of mental sharpness to it. That's very valuable, and you don't want to cut yourself off from even more aspects of yourself because you hate the inner critic, right? This is another split now. So we integrate our mental sharpness, but we reduce our self-attacking, our self-inflicted suffering. So we have to see the value of being critical and not let it take over and start attacking ourselves. The problem is that this whole mechanism, we're very identified with it. It's unconscious. We don't shine the light of awareness on it. It just replays itself mechanically, and then it takes over, kind of like a cancer almost. So a core part of this is meditation, and there is no 5-minute solution for this problem. The real solution is having a long-term vision for your life of who you really want to be, how you want to relate yourself. This is going to be a very fundamental change to how you relate to life itself. It's going to be a deep change to how you relate to your emotions, how you relate to the parts of you that you repress, how you relate to your thinking, how you relate to your own ego, in a matter of integrating all this phenomena. So really daily meditation is incredibly important. You need some kind of time to sit and just spend it with yourself, and don't half-ass this. right? If you wanted to go to the gym and if you wanted to build muscle, right, you do what? You probably watch some YouTube tutorials on how do I do this, and like you practice, you probably hire a personal trainer maybe, right? You do all this stuff. Same thing here. This is like almost sort of like mental repetitions now rather than physical repetitions at the gym. This is extremely important that you actually have a sincere heart when you're approaching this, because if you don't, you'll probably fall into the category of people who say it doesn't work, it's blah, blah, blah. And again, if you want to build muscle, this is a long-term thing. You're not going to get jacked in a week, in the same way that this problem isn't going to like magically poof away in 1 minute, in a week. You need help with this, right? Like you need assistance. You need to take this seriously. Not too seriously. I'm not saying you need help as in you're broken, but you need to have a sincere heart, right? And you need to actually be willing to actually learn from other people with this one, because you're not going to do it all on your own. So I want to open you up to this pattern that most likely exists. It's this pattern of criticizing yourself, and this leads you into feeling a bunch of inner child pain, shame, guilt, unworthiness, etc. And then you want to avoid this pain, so then you self-sabotage, escape, alcohol, I don't know, smoking a bunch, drugs, video games, porn, junk food, any way of disconnecting from yourself, essentially. Right? It doesn't have to be doing crack or something. It can be something very simple, like just watching a bunch of TV or eating junk food, overeating, eating because you're anxious and right, not for nutrition, things like this. And then that self-sabotage leads you back to criticizing yourself. So it's criticizing, inner child pain, avoidance of pain, and then back to criticism of like, oh, look what you're doing. You're not good enough. You're so ugly, and you do this and this and this, and you're terrible because of it. And it's, you know, it's just the inner critic BS, basically. So really, a very fundamental part here is connecting to these inner child parts of you that are wounded, really processing this pain, learning to become compassionate and gentle with yourself over time. Right? And opening up to your own suffering. Have compassion for these parts of you that you've repressed. Have compassion for these parts of you that you avoid and you hate so much. And this is a process, really. Right? This is the process of integration. So first, you just want to become aware of these parts. And as you become more familiar with them, and as you allow them to slowly move more into your conscious mind, you can begin to open up your heart to them. Right? I don't mean that in a hippy-dippy way. Just having compassion for your own suffering. Having compassion for your own pain. Opening up your heart to yourself and really healing all this repressed pain that exists inside of you. And there's no real way to do this without bringing attention to yourself and fully feeling and just consciously feeling. Right? Let go of the mind and analyzing why and all this stuff. Right? It's valuable, but the real processing here happens just through really opening to experience and just fully feeling. This is like how it really begins to get purged out. Because before that, or without doing that really, there's too much tension in the body. You're too closed, you're too repressed, you're stuck in thoughts too much rather than being able to be grounded and present and connected and really feeling what's going on habitually, right? Being felt, connected to yourself in a more feeling-based way, connected to the felt experience. So this is going to take time. Right? This is just something you're going to have to swallow. You're not going to watch my video and then your problem's 100% solved. This is something that's going to be taking time. Right? In the same way how healing a broken bone takes time. Right? Healing these fractures within your psyche, these breaks within your psyche, is going to take time. It's going to require consciousness, and it's going to require you to slowly open your heart to these parts of you, and not right away. Right? Typically right away, a lot of this pain, you're going to hate it. You're going to want to run from it. This is the stuff you've been running from for so long. You're not going to want to open up your heart to this kind of junk. Okay? Like, you're going to be like, ew, this is disgusting. Right? But over time, you develop more intimacy with yourself. You begin to just accept yourself more. You begin to accept that, this was the best you could do at the time. You had to repress yourself and to avoid and develop all these coping mechanisms at one point in your life in order to just cope with life, in order to keep moving forward. But now you're most likely at a point where you can begin to heal a lot of this stuff. You can go back and you can investigate this stuff, and you're free to. You're capable of it. You're a fully grown adult, and you're more than strong enough to actually do so. Another core part of this is learning to embrace failure, learning to embrace setbacks, learning to embrace simply making errors, right? Because the critic likes to feed on just making errors and setbacks, and it uses them to beat you up, and you kind of can be kind of perfectionistic about it. And instead, you just allow yourself to simply make mistakes and learn just from making the mistake. It's like, I made a mistake. Oh, okay, just now I know. That's it. Like that degree of lightness and just like lack of care, in a sense. Like it's not a big deal if you just make a mistake. It really doesn't matter. We're taught in school, really indirectly, that making mistakes is bad, unfortunately. But that's not true, because, the second you step into the actual world, the more mistakes you make, the more you actually end up learning. The more stuff you try and fail, then you just get better over time. This is mastery. This is just how you get good at anything. You just make a lot of mistakes, basically, and you learn from others. Basically, just learn from others and make a lot of errors. And really embrace fucking up. That's like a core part of this. Embrace just not doing something well. And then just like, I see what I did wrong, and I can just do X, Y, and Z next time. And it's just like gentle, it's light, it's not overly critical. And it's, again, slowly develop this. And I really want to bring some books to your awareness. If you really care about healing this, these are going to be very important for you, right? This is kind of like the next steps after this video. It's buying this book called Bringing Your Shadow Out of the Dark by Robert Augustus Masters, and another book called No Bad Parts by Richard Schwartz. I actually have one of the books inside over here. The other one I don't currently have with me. Should have brought it out, but it's okay. I'll learn for next time. So these two books are going to really highlight a lot of these sort of inner dynamics that are going on inside of you. And it's going to be incredibly important for getting this problem at a lot of depth. Right? And from just seeing this stuff, having a concept of it, right? You can apply this map, the knowledge basically you get from books, you can apply it to your actual experience, and then it's going to change how you begin relating to that experience. So just really reading books on healing and trauma. I have a free book list. It's full of stuff like this, actually. Really take advantage of this stuff and just, over time, fill up your mind with this kind of information so that in a very natural and organic way you can make this shift. Because this isn't going to change if you do 5 minutes of meditation, do 5 minutes of emotional processing. This simply just it's unfortunately more complicated than this. And then you go back to scrolling on YouTube or your old addictions and your old patterns. Like I said, this is a long-term shift that requires a development. This requires you to really shift your psychology. This is a deep psychological shift that we're talking about here. And I'm not shaming anyone if you have any of the problems I mentioned previously. It's just that really this isn't a little thing, in the sense that you're not going to solve this by not giving it the proper attention and energy that it really deserves. In the same way that if you had a home and there was a leaky pipe and your electrical system wasn't working and you had a broken window, you can't half-ass fixing it. You can't, it requires you to be there and do it properly. You got to get a new window, you got to fix the leaky pipe, get a new pipe, right? You got to redo the electrical system, you got to hire an electrician, right? You need people to help you as well, right? On top of that, check out a lot of my other videos. You really need to get a lot of your needs met. Make sure you have the social connection you need. Make sure the foods you're eating make your body feel alive and vital, right? Cutting out junk food is really important so you can properly connect to yourself. Make sure that you're not habitually distracting yourself with just endless entertainment. Make sure you're putting healthy information into your mind by going onto my book list and seeing things that resonate with you. It's just going to help your mind to develop towards self-actualization and self-transcendence. On top of that, learn to just connect with yourself. Slowly stop avoiding yourself. Notice how much you always avoid yourself and just slowly connect with yourself more and more and more. Set aside time every day to be in an undistracted place and just connect with yourself. Life is complex, and you got to take in to account all of your needs and make sure you're getting them met in a proper way. And this is going to help you to heal your mind. Really just taking good care of your body is going to help you to heal your mind. Having the proper social support is going to help you to heal your mind. Being able to connect with yourself and isolate yourself and really be in solitude so you can reflect is going to help you to heal your mind, and not, swinging it to any kind of extreme. Make sure that you connect with people when you need to. Make sure you can be alone when you need to. Making sure that the work you do is something that you're really passionate about. Making sure that the work you do is very healthy work. That's it for this video. If you want to work with me, you can apply to do so one-to-one. Link is in the pinned comment and the description. Take it easy.